This one is really one that disturbs me at a time that you have so much discontent in this country about police-community relations. I was one of these folks that when I was mayor of a big city, I was skeptical of consent decrees. But
were you?
I was very, absolutely. They came in to Newark, and I was like, wait, what do we?
Because you want control.
Yeah, I didn't know it's not just control, but I was like, why? We're working really hard on these issues. But what most people don't understand about these consent decrees is not the Justice Department coming in and telling you what to do. They actually do a real analysis. And for me, it was like getting millions of dollars worth of consulting to help us understand how to best and more effectively run our police department, to the point now that we have a great police director in Newark rather, Italian cop from grew up in the department, who's raving about having this partnership. And so people get this wrong. They think it's like police morale versus community relations, public safety. No, they're not mutually exclusive. They're intrinsically linked to each other. It's not the tyranny of the or, it's this liberation of the end. You can have, the way to have effective public safety, the way to have great morale in the police department is to empower the police to do their job well, because most cops, pretty much all of them, actually want to be really effective in their job and want to have connections with the community. So
there's, I think, there was this forming bipartisan consensus about some of the failures of the war on drugs and the approach to crime that produced mass incarceration. You're someone who's been very outspoken on that. And there's a question now about, now that we're dealing with this opioid epidemic, it is predominantly in white areas, if we're going to get a different approach. And I want to play you this video. It's been going around online.
Please.
This indicates to me, I think people think, well, now it's white communities, we're going to see a lot more empathy and treatment, but I'm a little unsold on that, because I think the punitive impulse is strong. Take a look. This is Lake County, Florida. This is the local police department warning the drug dealers of their community. Take a look.
Right.
To the dealers that are pushing this poison, I have a message for you. We're coming for you. Enjoy trying to sleep tonight, wondering if tonight's the night our SWAT team blows your front door off the hinges. We are coming for you. If our agents can show the nexus between you, the pusher of poison, and the person that overdoses and dies, we will charge you with murder. We are coming for you. Run.
Now, I get people feeling like they're in the midst of a crisis and an emergency and something must be done, but I ask you, how much have we learned our lesson about what we did wrong the first time?
Well, that's very disappointing sort of messaging to me, to deal with a crisis that, in many ways, the whole way we approach the drug war, most Americans don't realize we were pretty much the same as globally when it comes to incarceration rates. Once we declared the war on drugs, we had a massive spike in incarceration, 800% increase in incarceration on the federal level, 500% increase on the state level. And again, we know the racial impact of this, because there's no difference between blacks and whites for using drugs or
in fact, white people,
selling.
Good evidence that white people use drugs at a higher rate.
And even selling of drugs, there's some evidence at smaller degree for white men. But the reality is African Americans almost 4 times more likely. But worse than that, it's not only sort of this sort of the implicit racial bias, the manifestation of that, where the things are targeted, but not only are we filling our prisons with people of color, but as poor folks, as one of my heroes says, Brian Stevenson, we have a justice system that treats you better if you're rich and guilty than poor and innocent. But it's also, on top of that, we're incarcerating mentally ill people and addicted people at rates that are unconscionable. The way you deal with this crisis is not just lock them up, lock them up, lock them up. The way you deal with this crisis is treating the opioid addiction, treating the demand.
Is there, I mean, is that a saleable message?
It is. Look, I'm not saying you don't hold people accountable who are doing this, but the tactics we've used have proven so dramatically wrong in terms of dealing with the drug crisis in this country. But there are so many great models of showing of what to deal with this, how to deal with this crisis. And so when I hear that Nixon-esque language, when I hear people hearkening back to law and order, there's a word that's forgotten in that, which is justice. That we need justice in this country. And I don't care if you're black or white. We all want safe neighborhoods. We all want an empowered community. And right now we're creating this dynamic, when I see things like that, that's not as constructive as creating a police-community relationship where we're all in partnership to deal with this crisis.
So since I have you here, there's been 2 big stories in the last 2 days I want to get your thoughts on. First is the strike on Syria on Friday. I've read some of your statements, which seemed, I would characterize them as ambivalent. Did you support the strike?
Well, I'm waiting for, I'm sorry you're interpreting as ambivalence. I just believe that there are very distinct...
I don't think that's indefensible, by the way. I mean, it's complicated territory.
Well, again, I'm not one of these people that are going to come out and celebrate this. I have some questions about, was this a justifiable use of presidential power? Clearly, this was a heinous act.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a believer that America should respond. But what I haven't heard is what was the legal justification for this unilateral presidential
Have they
use of
provided
power?
one, to your knowledge?
No. So I went to a classified briefing where we sat with incredible military leaders that we all should have a lot of pride and great gratitude to, but nobody showed me what the legal reason why. And I think this is a terrible drift. If we're still using the authorization of use of military force from 2001 to justify this, that is not an attack on a sovereign state, which is what we did. We went after a sovereign state. We went after, and I think he's a legitimate leader, but it is way off of the rails. And for us not to be asking these constitutional questions, and for me as a member of Article I branch of the Constitution, for me not to be calling that out is irresponsible. So I'm waiting to see what a legal justification is, and I'm going to say that this is not, as I see it right now, and I'm waiting for administration response. What is your legal justification for doing what is a very serious strike on a sovereign country? Now, again, heinous act. I don't believe this. And by the way, I'm relieved that we're talking about Assad suddenly like we should, like he should be removed from power. But this is an administration that has shown no overall strategy, and I would say they're playing footsie with Russia. I mean, I've seen more criticism of Nordstrom than I have seen of Putin. If this is an administration not even willing to criticize Russia, who's attacked the United States in cyber attacks, but this is an important point. This is somebody that's empowering Assad in doing what he's saying. This is somebody that represented to the previous administration that they were working with Assad to get rid of those weapons that were then just used in this attack. So this is an administration I don't see having a coherent strategy. This is an administration that I don't think has at least produced the justifiable reason. And I worry that we're going to be continuing to wade into a morass without an overall a plan on how we're going to deal with what I think is one of the greater humanitarian crises of our lifetime.
All right, Senator Cory Booker, thanks for making time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.